Hi, today we are going to talk about how to solve one-step equations. When we solve those, you always undo an operation that you have by what's called its inverse operation. So plus can be undone by minus and vice versa, and multiplication can be undone by division, vice versa. So first example, x plus 2 equals 9. So we add 2. To get rid of that, we are going to subtract 2. Everything that you do to an equation, you do the same exact thing to both sides. So if I subtract 2 on the left hand side, I'm going to have to subtract 2 on the right hand side. By sides we mean the equal sign, because everything needs to stay in balance. And that's going to give us x equals 9 minus 2 is 7, and that is the answer. Example 2, t minus 7 equals negative 12. So we have minus 7, we need to get rid of that, to leave t by itself, so we're going to add 7 to both sides. T minus 7, and then you do plus 7, that's going to leave you with t. Negative 12 plus 7 is going to give you negative 5. 3m equals negative 14, so now we have multiplication here. So to undo multiplication we do division, so we divide both sides by 3. In this case, negative 14 will not divide by 3, which is perfectly fine. That's possible. Not everything's going to work out nice. So m equals negative 14 over 3, and we are going to leave it like that. K divided by 7 equals negative 2. So we divide by 7. In this case, we will need to multiply both sides by 7 to undo that. So we multiply this side by 7, multiply this side by 7. This is going to cancel. And then you're going to get k equals, and negative 2 times 7 is negative 14. Okay, moving on. T minus 1.4 equals 3.5, so we have to undo it. Doesn't matter what kind of numbers we have, so we're going to add 1.4. 1.4. T equals 3.5 plus 1.4 is 4.9. 5y equals 0, so we multiply 5 by y. To undo that we divide by 5, and we are dividing 0 by 5, which is perfectly fine, and it's still 0, and y equals 0. This one presents a bit of a challenge because we have to deal with fractions here. So first of all, we are going to use this approach by subtracting whatever number we have here, which is 2/3. So that's going to give us b equals 5 over 6 minus 2/3. So what we need to do now is we need to combine the fractions, and that's going to require a common denominator, correct? So our common denominator here will be 6. So we are going to multiply this top and the bottom by 2. And that's going to give us 5/6 minus 4/6. And that's going to give us 1/6. So b is 1/6. For problem like number 8, this is a very common type of an equation, and some confusion exists there for students. What we have is 2/3 times t equals 8. This is meant to be a one-step equation, although sometimes students attempt to solve it through multiple steps. So if there is a fraction here, you are going to multiply with what's called the reciprocal. The reciprocal of 2/3 is 3/2. And that's what you do. Again, you do the same exact thing to both sides. So here 3/2 times times 2/3 is going to cancel. That's going to leave you with t equals 8 times 3/2. So how do we multiply fractions? Really quick. 8 over 1 times 3 over 2. That's going to give you 24 over 2, which is 12. So t equals 12. All right. I do have a couple of application problems where you have to set up an equation and solve it. So these equations that these problems that you're going to see, they can be figured out intuitively, but we are going to work on them as if we needed to set up an equation. So example 9, Jason wants to buy a new video game that costs $85. He has 48. How much more money does he need? So how much more money does he need is going to be our x. So what do we have? He has 48. He needs x dollars more to make it equal 85. Correct? It's a one-step equation. We subtract 48 on both sides. So x equals 85 minus 48 is going to be 37. So he needs $37 more, right? Example 10. This month Boris spent $300 to advertise his business, which is 2/3 more than what he spent last month. How much did he spend last month on advertising? So what do we know? We are trying to find how much he spent last month, right? So let's call this X. So what do we know? We know he spent 2/3 of that. 2/3 times X, which is going to be equal to 300, right? Because 2/3 of what he spent last month is equal to 300. So we're going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. We had a problem like that. So you're going to multiply both sides by 3/2, right? And that's going to leave us with X on this side. And here we're multiplying 300 by 3/2, which is 900 over 2, which is 450. So he spent $450 last month. Okay, and that's how it's done. I hope this helps.